Part 31. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 301. Ding. 600,000 God of War merit points have been credited to your Wanwu Pavilion account. This reminder that the money has arrived may be a beautiful thing. While accepting 600,000 yuan, Yebai did not forget to make a note in his heart. Big Menzi still has at least 400,000 in his hands, and Master Fool has 600,000 in his hands. Sooner or later, Yebai will get their 1.2 million. How to spend the 1.6 million will be a happy worry. As soon as I got the money, it was all spent before I could warm it up. However, this wave of Yebai's small profit of 50,000 God of War merits is not a loss at all. After getting the materials, Yebai said hello to the goblin brother and left with a twitching heart. Returning to the exclusive space, all the materials worth 550,000 God of War merits were handed over to Master Fool. Yebai said fiercely, "If something goes wrong this time, you won't be able to go back to the abyss." The idiot master snorted coldly, not to be outdone, and fought back hard. "It sounds like you were planning to let me go back in the first place." Dracula on the side, "Look at the demon lord." Yebai was speechless. Master Fool evaluated it and found that the force of nature can be repaired in 3 hours at the fastest and 12 hours at the slowest. After making sure everything was safe, Yebai left the exclusive space and returned to Shura's refresh point, the toilet. Bathroom. Yebai looked at the stand-in doll sitting on the ground drinking toilet water, thoughtfully. "Master Ju, I asked you to help look after the substitute. Is this how you look at it?" Master Ju, who was busy recording at the side, put away the video recorder first. Then, Master Ju said in a surprised tone, "Shura, why are you sitting on the ground? Get up quickly, the ground is dirty." Yebai. "Is this a problem with dirty floors? Isn't the toilet dirtier? I can't have this stand-in doll anymore." A water ball appeared in Yebai's palm. He washed the avatar and threw it into the storage space first. The matter of the force of nature comes to an end. Now Yebai only needs to concentrate on waiting for the second date with the sunny boy Huo Tianwang. 2 p.m. Area C Training Hall. Yebai waited and waited, but King Huo didn't come. But Master Ju's voice rang in his ears. "Crazy Huo is waiting for you in the men's room." "Yebai. Why are you waiting for me in the toilet?" "There is no way, according to the agreement between the two, the person who lost the previous game will make the rules for the next game." Madman Huo chose the restroom for the duel. Yebai could only hold his nose and admit it. Yebai took steps again and headed towards the men's room. The entire students in Area C were instantly excited. They all realized what was about to happen. The second master once had 2 battles with Shura in the toilet in Area C, and now Yebai is going to fight Shura too. Wherever Yebai went, there was a buzz of people. "Dabai, Shura, take me with you." "Brother Bai, are you interested in going to the bathroom together? I'll pay 100,000 gold coins to buy a pit." "Haha, 100,000 yuan can buy a standing ticket at most." Listening to everyone's reaction, Yebai's mouth twitched, unable to complain. "What is this? Why would someone pay to go to the toilet with me?" Yebai declined the kindness of his male classmates, but he had no hobby of fencing. Looking at the female classmates who had the same thoughts, Yebai said seriously, "Definitely next time." After saying that, Yebai turned around and entered the men's room. As soon as he entered, several instructors stood at the door of the toilet, blocking everyone from outside. From now on, the men's restroom in Area C has been classified as a restricted area. It was a matter of Shura, and there was no room for them not to take it seriously. Several war kings are heavily guarded, and there is also a war god on the way. Taking a break from the farce, Yebai came to Huo Tianwang's home court, the toilet. By chance, Ye Bai heard the conversation between Madman Huo and Xiaoju. Xiaoju asked childishly, "Brother Huo, why did you choose to fight in the toilet?" The big sunny boy explained seriously. During the first fight, Shura specifically emphasized not to fight in the toilet. The more the enemy avoids, the more they fear. This. Ye Bai never expected that the problem would arise here. King Huotian snorted coldly and stamped his feet lightly. "You're here, sneaky and shady." Ye Bai walked out of the shadow, cupped his hands and said, "I've met Senior." Xiaoju tugged on Huo Tianwang's sleeve corner and whispered, "Brother Huo, he smells like Grandpa Huo." The youth limited edition Huo Tianwang shook his head. "It's okay, that old madman is a madman. This kid was probably punched to death by the old madman. Really, I even curse myself when I go crazy." "Cut." Ye Bai said disdainfully. "I didn't expect that the mighty Huo Tianwang wouldn't even have a chance to throw a second punch in front of me. Everyone." His words were so shameless that people didn't know how to respond. While several people were chatting, Master Zhu had completely surrounded the surroundings with black mist. "You can start fighting at any time. Please." King Huotian asked Xiaoju to stand aside and raised his hand. On both sides of the toilet, weapons appeared one after another, everything you need. According to the rules mentioned by King Huotian before, this competition is about fists, feet, and weapons. Both of them were suppressed to level 1, and their 5-dimensional attributes were both 10. As for the unlimited health bar, this is easy to handle. The two of them only need 1 million blood, and at the same time, they can recover 1 million drops of blood per second, so the health bar is almost unlimited. With 10 attributes, if you can get a super high burst of 1 million, the loser is not unfair. Since it's weapons, fists, and kicks, let's use them freely. Ye Bai was very polite and said humbly, "Senior, you choose first." In this kind of battle, weapons are mutually reinforcing each other. The side that chooses the weapon first will suffer a lot. King Huotian shook his head. "You kid, if you don't have bad intentions in your body, you won't have so many evil intentions." He casually picked up a spear and dropped it into his hand. The forearm exerted force slightly, and the gun body trembled like noodles in Huo Tianwang's hand. This move alone shows the profound power of Huo Tianwang. Ye Bai made a choice and considered it over and over again. Finally, he casually picked up a round shield and said naturally, "I'm not good with weapons, so I'll make do with a shield first." "Jajaja." Yingju's laughter came from the black mist, and he said in a hoarse voice, "The cameras are in place, no, I mean, you can start." According to Master Zhu's understanding of Madman Huo and Ye Bai, this one is not a battle at all, but a one-sided abuse of food. With only fists, feet, and weapons, how could Ye Bai be Madman Huo's opponent? Is it possible that Ye Bai can transform into a rare martial arts wizard in a century, with an epoch-making understanding of shields? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. For this reason, Master Zhu specially prepared several cameras to capture the 360-degree shooting of Sun Thief being beaten violently. When you feel bad in the future, take it out and look at it more. That's what Master Zhu thought. The fight in the toilet is about to break out. But when the two sides actually fought, Master Zhu slowly raised a question mark in the black mist. Why, the fight was so intense and evenly divided. King Huo Tianwang, who was holding a spear, was unable to break through Ye Bai's defense. Ye Bai played the shield superbly, playing steadily and without leakage. Master Zhu was silent for a moment, then suddenly cursed. "Crazy Huo, are you going to fake the game, right? Online games, only I can see hidden information." Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 302. Listening to Yingju's pointing, Huo Tianwang swept across with a gun and drove Ye Bai back. He cocked his gun, tiptoed the ground, and jumped up. Standing at the tip of the spear, Huo Tianwang put his hands into his sleeves and snorted condescendingly. Laoju, if you have the ability, come and fight. Standing and talking doesn't hurt your back. Shura is holding a round shield. The human shield is one, and he can defend when advancing or retreating. It leaves you with nowhere to say anything. Yingju also had some clues. Madman Huo didn't hide anything, but Thief's son gave him a surprise. Yingju felt itchy for a moment, but quickly held it back. Can't take action. No matter whether you win or lose in a fight with Ye Bai, a grand thief, you will always suffer the consequences. After all, King Huo Tian had little contact with Shura. Yingju has been following Ye Bai these days, observing his words and actions. As a human being, there is nothing to say. It cannot be said that he is an ordinary person, I can only say that he has no redeeming qualities. If Master Ju really ends up, even if he kills Ye Bai with a knife, Master Ju doubts that Ye Bai will be able to brag for the rest of his life. It's like a fight between a man and a dog. Regardless of the outcome, it is always the people who suffer. Madman Huo is a madman, but Master Ju is not crazy. Change weapons. Huo Tianwang's body sank, the spear bowed with great effort, and Huo Tianwang's whole body was ejected like a cannonball. In mid-air, a cold light flashed. Before anyone arrives, the knife has arrived. This knife shocked Ye Bai, with a gleam on his back, threw away the round shield in his hand. Since he wanted to change weapons, he had to be particular about it. A square shield appeared in Ye Bai's hand, blocking this stunning knife. Yingju, Huo Tianwang. Does this kid only know how to use a shield? Ye Bai's voice came from behind the shield. This is my newly researched fighting method. I thought about it carefully and gained some insights. King Huo Tian stopped and waited for the next words. He would like to hear what Shura has to say. Actually, I'm a mage. Ye Bai vowed and said. Why on earth would I want to fight someone in close combat? I used to be confused by the Heavenly King's sword and went astray. Wouldn't it be nice to hide behind a shield and throw away skills? King Huo Tian was stunned when he heard Ye Bai's confident words. That makes sense. Forcing Shura to fight with him in close combat was because King Huo Tian didn't follow martial ethics first. If you don't want to talk about martial ethics, then implement it to the end. The corner of Huo Tianwang's mouth curled up into a sneer, a pair of gloves appeared on his fists, and he smashed the shield hard. Bang bang bang. No matter how perfect Shura's defense is, the durability of the shield is limited. King Huo Tian specifically attacked the weak points of the shield. After a while, the shield could no longer hold up and creaked. Click. With a crisp sound, the shield was completely shattered by King Huo Tian. A new shield immediately stood in front of him. King Huo Tianwang didn't care, and punched him one after another, like a god beating a drum. The second shield lasts shorter than the first. For dozens of breaths, the two fought fiercely, and Ye Bai changed 3 shields in succession. Yingju, who had been watching with cold eyes, showed a happy smile and did not forget to make sarcastic remarks. Thief son, your cleverness is misled by your cleverness, right? He and King Huo Tianwang were fighting in the north and south. What scenes had they not seen before? What Ye Bai is playing now are all the leftovers from what they played back then. Yingju continued to stand on the high ground and pointed. People like Madman Huo are not on the same path as me. When I kill an enemy, I always aim to kill him with one blow, cleanly and cut him down. Madman Huo fights, and the more he fights, the braver he becomes. As time goes by, his attacks will become more and more severe. As if to confirm Yingju's words, Ye Bai Gong changed his shield, but it was shattered by King Huo Tianwang's punch. What the hell is this 10-point attribute? Ye Bai couldn't care less about complaining, Huo Tianwang's punch had arrived. The fist rushes at him first, and the back of Ye Bai's head tightens, feeling an early warning in his heart. Change shield again? That's too late. Even if Ye Bai resists this punch, the next one will be stronger. From the beginning of the fight, Huo Tianwang has been playing Ye Bai. It's not that he can't do anything to Ye Bai. In fact, Huo Tianwang likes this kind of enemy who can't fight back the most. Commonly known as sandbags. So there is the scene in front of us. The grumpy old man is punching sandbags online. It's now. The moment the shield was broken, Ye Bai seemed to be in a hurry, but in fact he was as steady as an old dog. Draw the knife? Rarely, Ye Bai did not use the Heavenly King's sword, but chose another weapon, a knife. Huo Tianwang's stunning sword before appeared in Shura's hand. Boom! The fight between fists and knives erupted with terrifying power in an extremely narrow space. Two level 1 players violently pecked each other's novices, showing their peak momentum. Good. King Huo Tianwang shouted loudly and advanced instead of retreating. Shura switched from defense to attack, and this strike was beyond his expectation. What King Huo Tian didn't expect was that Shura was so talented in swordsmanship, and he could learn a similar skill just by looking at it. The inner charm was also learned by Shura. Before punching, King Huo Tian said. King Huo Tian is fast, Ye Bai is faster than him. As his eyes changed, a faint murderous aura appeared on Ye Bai's body, but he controlled it very well. He knew this thief very well. The stronger the enemy, the stronger this punch will be. In his mind, the most powerful punch that King Huo Tianwang had ever punched appeared in his mind. The next moment, abandon the knife, make a fist, and punch. Let's wait and see. This punch requires not only one's own energy and spirit to be at its peak, but also the enemy's strength to be at its strongest. A set of movements flowed smoothly and extremely smoothly. Opening his eyes, that terrifying punch disappeared from Ye Bai's mind. Ye Bai's eyes changed. Just use the knife. That terrifying punch appeared under Ye Bai. Yingju actually had some expectations too. What is Ye Baizhang's killer move? Half a head taller than King Huo Tian, Ye Bai raised his right fist and growled. With that said, King Huo Tian rushed up again, his momentum rising to its peak, ready for this gluttonous feast. Ye Bai has won. The right fist hit hard, triggering endless murderous intent, and instantly penetrated King Huo Tian's defense. King Huo Tian, die without regrets. Countless black murderous aura wrapped around Ye Bai's right fist and penetrated Huo Tianwang's left chest. The condensed murderous aura touched Huo Tianwang's skin and immediately transformed into a black coffin. This punch, black coffin. The entire black mist space is extremely turbulent, and Yingju is ready to use his sword to save people at any time. With one punch, the world is extinguished and everything returns to endless darkness. Boom. Ye Bai withdrew his right fist, his eyes were cold and murderous, and he said in a deep voice. Can you block this punch with 20 years of skill? Yingju, who was watching the battle from the sidelines, his face darkened. Being able to have such a hardy battle with someone before doing the last thing. Everything went according to Ye Bai's original plan, until the mystery was revealed and the killer move appeared. The happiest thing in life is to meet an opponent in chess and meet a talented person. That is at this moment. Can you block this punch with 100 years of skill? When this serious look appears in battle, there is only one possibility. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjio Old Thief. Chapter 303. The black coffin condensed with murderous aura surrounded King Huo Tian. Ye Bai's previous punch directly emptied his health bar. King Huo Tianqing is still alive at this time because of Wan Tianqing. He has 5 seconds left to live. Black Coffin's punch, in addition to killing, can also trap the enemy. Even if the enemy does not die on the spot, he will still suffer high damage and many restrictions in the black coffin. Obviously, Huo Tianhuang condensed his life of more than 100 years into one punch, and it was not that simple. The strange thing is that Huo Tianhuang took a step forward. He walked out of the black coffin so easily. Ye Bai retreated violently, trying to distance himself from King Huo Tian. There are 5 seconds to hold back the sky. If you survive these 5 seconds, Ye Bai will win. In other words, everyone will win the battle. Even if Huo Tianhuang has a trump card to fight back, Ye Bai will be the last one standing. Hold on. King Huo Tianhuang stepped out of the black coffin, but he did not rush forward. Instead, he stretched his muscles and bones, as if he had just finished warming up. I never thought that one day the black coffin would hit me. King Huo Tian seemed to be smiling but not smiling, and his whole expression was particularly kind, but it made Ye Bai in the distance feel horrified. This old madman has finally figured out his perversion. The murderous aura in the black coffin floated forward, wisps of which sank into King Huo Tian's back. 1 second, 2 seconds. 5 seconds have passed. 6th second. Huo Tianhuang's blood volume is still 1 point, and the Qing dynasty is not over yet. Ye Bai's pupils shrank, not sure what happened. If I'm not wrong, you haven't learned how to save the world for a long time, right? King Huo Tian suddenly spoke and started talking about unrelated topics. Ye Bai nodded and signaled the other party to continue. Then someone should have told you that there are 3 ways to use the tension. 4 kinds. Ye Bai interrupted. Lan Bangxian told me that there are 4 ways to use Wan Tianqing. This time, it was Huo Tianhuang's turn to be silent. After a moment, he sighed, Lan Bangxian's talent is ultimately inferior to Wu Han's. Obviously, in Huo Tianhuang's opinion, this 4th method of saving the world is not a traceless development. But, Lan Bangxian created it himself. Just after he praised Lan Bangxian, King Huo Tianhuang spat out blood and said disdainfully. It's a pity that he is still a waste who can't reach the god of war. Yes, I have a bad mouth. King Huo Tian continued to introduce. The second use of Wan Tianqing can break the 5-second time limit, lock on a target, and use the most powerful move in your life. Before King Huo Tian finished speaking, his whole body turned into a black shadow and rushed in front of Ye Bai. Ye Bai. Don't talk about martial ethics. A round shield full of thorns appeared in Ye Bai's hand, but King Huo Tianhuang beat it away first. It's over. Ye Bai is ready to use the tension Qing. It's really over this time. Ye Bai calculated everything, but he didn't calculate the second use of Benchingking. Fortunately, he can still rely on the Tianhuan Qingqin to continue the wave, but it hurts a little. After this punch, Huo Tianhuang was unable to fight anymore. In this game, Ye Bai was the last one standing. In an instant, countless thoughts rose and died in Ye Bai's heart. He gritted his teeth and prepared to resist Huo Tianhuang's last move. Snapped. King Huo Tian gently slapped Ye Bai on the shoulder. Ye Bai's expression changed from tense to shocked, puzzled, confused. In front of Ye Bai's eyes, the 18-year-old Huo Tianhuang grinned at him, showing a sunny smile. Not lifeless, not frowning, but a smile that comes from the heart and sweeps away all the gloom. The 18-year-old Huo Tianhuang passed by the 18-year-old Ye Bai, leaving laughter in Ye Bai's ears. It's a good thing that you cherish your life. Aren't we working hard in this life just so that our descendants don't have to risk their lives? I quite like your boy, but unfortunately I have too much time and can't teach you much. I'm going to fight the last battle, with the best hope. Thank you. After saying that, Huo Tianhuang, who had never been weaker than anyone in his life, slowly closed his eyes, and the vitality flowed out of his body little by little, and the effect of saving the world was over. Ye Bai turned around and saw only a figure in black. Huo Tian Wang. The person is not dead, why are you crying? Master Ju snorted coldly, drew his sword and slashed forward. King Huo Tian Wang, who had just closed his eyes and kicked his legs, was resurrected with full blood. The crocodile's tears were forcefully swallowed back before they shed. Ah, this. Yeah, Bai couldn't fix it? As soon as the boy in black came back to life, he put on his coffin face, snorted coldly, and walked towards Xiaoju arrogantly. Hiss. Yeah, Bai was dissatisfied. Looking at him like that, people who didn't know better thought he had won. Yingju said from the side, "Don't say what's on your mind so quietly. Shout out and I'll give you something good." "Forget it, Xiu, am not a money-grubbing person." Ye Bai said solemnly. Ye Bai could still tell which was more important, money or life. Xiaoju held the sleeves of the young man in black, and stood in front of Ye Bai. The coffin boy with the coffin face said coldly, "You won the second game. This old madman will probably reveal some of his true feelings before he dies. On weekdays, just like Master Ju, he is very stubborn. No, as soon as he was resurrected, he had a straight face, as if someone owed him 2.9 million God of War merits." Speaking of the God of War's merits, Ye Bai thought of the money that was deposited with Xuemeng and Master Fool. 2 out of 3 games, do you think I win? When Ye Bai opened his mouth, he still had that shameless taste. No. King Huo Tian shook his head and said seriously, "You and I both know that the outcome of the final battle is the most valuable. As the loser of the second round, King Huo Tian should make the rules for the third round. No restrictions on time, place, anything. There is no distinction between superiority and inferiority, only life and death." King Huo Tian dropped these words, turned around and left with Xiaoju. Ye Bai was left there, shivering. It wasn't until King Huo Tian walked away that Ye Bai's face showed excitement and he didn't need to control the trembling of his body. "So excited? I will win the third game too." Yingju in the black mist couldn't help but be a little curious. "Boy, what other harmful tricks have you thought of to deal with Madman Huo? Look at what you said, am I that kind of person? Eternal Forest." Based on his previous experience with 2 top kendo masters. Huh. Blue banished immortal. Let's see how you will destroy the King of Heaven with one sword when you return to the human world. A white cloud lingers. This guy knows it very well. Isn't it a coincidence? Ye Bai is the best at praising others. In a certain month of a certain year, Shuro was killed by King Huo Tian with one punch. While walking in the jungle, he met the sword immortal by chance. Ye Bai saluted respectfully. Lan Bangxian drank a glass of wine and said with a smile, "Shura can give him some new tricks." The most powerful seed Shura named Ye Bai came to Lan Bangxian again. After accepting the bamboo tube, Lan Bangxian drank all the wine in the pot and gave half a plate of peanuts to Ye Bai. "Walk." Ye Bai vowed and said, "I heard that you were killed by Madman Huo with one punch." Shura and the sword immortal Blue banished immortal were walking in the sea of stars. The sword immortal gave some advice, and Shura benefited a lot. Lan Bangxian focused his attention, his eyes fell on the bamboo tube, and he could see the writing on it clearly. "I made an appointment with Father Lan for tea, let's go." Lan Bangxian stood up, looked up at the sky above his head, and chuckled. "I've met Senior Sword Immortal." Ye Bai didn't say much, and handed over a bamboo tube that had been carved long ago. Since Shura dared to ask him for help, Shura must have prepared the reward. Above the white clouds, sat a swordsman in blue. Lan Bangxian smiled and said nothing, waiting for the next sentence. Returning to the world, Shura killed King Huo Tianwang with one sword. He believes it. There was a jade table in front of Lan Bangxian, with a pot of sake and half a plate of peanuts on the table. "Go for a walk on the sea of stars." He didn't wait long, a black mist came next to the white clouds. Who doesn't know that I am an upright person? Ye Bai nodded and admitted, it is true. People who use swords like to boast and be praised. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 304. Return to the human world and kill the King of Heaven with one sword. When these words were spoken, they were extremely domineering and soul-stirring. But actually doing it is as difficult as climbing to the sky. Ye Bai has concluded before that many conditions need to be met to achieve this. Certainly. The most important point is that even if Huo Tianwang has many blessings, his fake body is not level 995 after all, which gives Ye Bai a chance. Otherwise, Huo Tianwang, who is full of blood and full of health, can kill Ye Bai with just one roar. This is no joke. He lay in a black coffin without brushing his teeth for decades, so he couldn't tell how bad his breath was. Of course, these are not things Ye Bai needs to consider. There is only one thing he needs to do, burst out instantly and deal super high damage. It is known that Huo Tianwang has a set of SSS level armor. After wearing the armor, he can be immune to all kinds of damage. In other words, many of Ye Bai's methods as a mage are of very limited use. Moreover, sneak attacks are all about being fair and above board. No, it's about being unexpected. Judging from the experience of fighting Huo Tianwang so many times, Huo Tianwang's talent in combat is directly maxed out, the best among the best. There are existences that can casually call the blue immortal a waste. Even if you look at the human race and the demon race, you can't pick out a few. Ye Bai only has one chance to take action. Once caught in a tug of war, that was Huo Tianwang's area of expertise, and Ye Bai had no chance of winning. Thinking of this, Ye Bai lowered his head and looked at the Heavenly King's sword at his waist. It's up to you, big brother. In today's second game with Huo Tianwang, Ye Bai used 3 weapons from beginning to end. Shield, knife, punch. Ye Bai hid his hand and didn't use his sword. The Heavenly King's sword has super armor breaking ability and can ignore Huo Tianwang's SSS level equipment. At the same time, Ye Bai's sword moves are also very suitable for sneak attacks. Every sword move Ye Bai learned was used for sneak attacks. The combination of many reasons led to the saying that the King of Heaven could be destroyed with one sword. As for whether it can be done, Ye Bai didn't know what to do. Only 90% sure. Walking beside Lan Bangxian, Ye Bai suddenly asked. Senior Sword Immortal, I would like to ask, how far can you fly me in 0.5 seconds? 0.5 seconds is a very critical time. Faced with Ye Bai's question, Lan Bangxian raised the corners of his mouth and chuckled. I can show you all over the sea of stars. The first abyss. Xuemeng was tired of smashing and wanted to cry but had no tears. 600,000, 600,000, 600,000 God of War's merits. Half of his income from playing cards this time was stolen by Shura. It's like receiving a red envelope during the Spring Festival, half of it was taken away before you even warmed up. No, I want to keep an eye on the remaining 600,000 God of War's merits. Xuemeng's face darkened, and he secretly thought something bad. Shura already knows that I have 1 million God of War merits, which means that of the 600,000 miles, he is already thinking about 400,000. For some reason, Xuemeng felt that these 400,000 God of War merits no longer belonged to him. Thinking of this, Xuemeng became more and more irritable. He looked at the great demon god and asked. Why does it take so long for your second son to withdraw money? The mighty devil doesn't know how to run away in the middle of a game of cards. Be patient and don't be impatient. The great demon god said seriously. The second child has always wanted to see me die. He won't miss this one. Xuemeng sighed. I really envy your relationship. You just want to kill each other without any impurities. Xuemeng felt that his friendship with Shura had deteriorated. The other party wants to take advantage of him now. Xuemeng doesn't even dare to think about what he wants to do in the future. You still want to be your own father. The friendship between demons and gods will never deteriorate. Because they have no friendship at all, only knives? Are you there? If you are here, let me stab you twice first. Have you eaten? If you don't eat, let me stab you twice. The fifth demon is still alive and even in good spirits. He looked at Xuemeng, thinking about how to get the other party to hit him a few more 60 points. The fifth demon suddenly spoke. What are you wearing around your neck? This. Xuemeng pulled out a gold chain and said proudly. 100-year-old lock was given to me by my uncle when I was born. It means longevity. The fifth devil smiled sadly. How old are you this year? Not big, I'm only over 70, fuck. Xuemeng looked at the 100-year-old lock that had been with him for many years with mixed emotions. If you truly mean live 100 years, doesn't it mean that you can only live for more than 20 years? This thing is a bit unlucky. Who asked you to remind me? Xuemeng swung Fang Tian's painted halberd and slashed at the great demon god. With terrifying power, the surrounding space was shattered. The great demon easily dodged the blow and emphasized, "It's Lao Wu who scolded you. Every injustice has its owner, and every debt has its owner. You guys are quarreling, why are you hitting me?" Xuemeng snorted coldly. Putting aside Lao Wu's fault, don't you, the eldest brother, have any responsibility? The great demon god and the fifth demon god. Not even the devil could catch these words. The outskirts of the eternal forest. Huo Tianwang, who had lost 2 games in a row, was taking Xiaju for a walk. When there are no outsiders, the youthful version of Huo Tianwang still has a coffin face, but his tone will be much softer. Xiaju, I have wronged you all these years. Xiaju raised his head with confused eyes. Brother Huo, what are you talking about? I feel like I only have a few days to live. 2. Huo Tianwang twitched the corners of his mouth and said. From now on, you have to be with a strange old man. Other than his bad breath, Lao Ju has nothing wrong with him. Xiaju's voice was childish and she asked. Is it the old man who is following the handsome brother? Right. They are one person. It is normal to fight at the same level and be instantly killed by the strongest seeds. In fact. Coincidentally, I thought so too. On the contrary, King Huo Tianwang himself felt vaguely bad, as if he was locked in by a murderous aura. In front of the two of them, there was a line of words on the bark of the tree. The words were obscured by the black fog and could not be seen clearly. There is no danger in the black mist. This is the eternal forest, the safest place for the entire human race. Bringing these two things to fight with Shura, using the big one to bully the small one is the right thing to do. They were all strengthened again after he broke through to the Tongtian war god. Are you anxious? Withdrawing their gazes, there was no need to say anything between the old madman and the young madman. King Huotian stopped and stood there, feeling something in his heart. Do you wish I would die now, and then you can go and die? Even if the opponent is Shura. Etc. The youth version of Huo Tianwang has no intention of looking down on Shura. The youthful version of Huo Tianwang sneered in his heart. Two eyes met. Look at the sword. Get Xiaju away first, no matter what happens, it will not affect Xiaju. Brother Huo, no, Grandpa Huo is going to do something big. Azura kills King Huo here. Xiaju stepped forward, raised his head, and read out the content in the black mist word for word. Xiaju shook his head, I don't want it, I just follow Brother Huo. Then let's see if Shura has the ability to kill me. The sword comes from the sea of stars. A sword energy descended from the sky, and Shura holding the heavenly king's sword instantly appeared next to King Huo. The last word has not yet been spoken. The black mist is obviously related to Yingju. Huo Tianhuang relies on 2 trump cards, SSS level equipment and the talent of surviving 9 deaths. King Huo Tian looked up at the Eternal Tower, the 95th floor. At the same level, it is 100% impossible to beat the strongest seeds. Old thing, you are watching, right? Xiaju, go and see what's carved on the tree in front of you. Be it him, Lan Bangxian, or Xue Meng. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjiao Old Thief. Chapter 305. The sword comes from the Sea of Stars. How this sword comes is very important. Ye Bai met Lan Bangxian before and asked him something. How far can you fly me in 0.5 seconds? Lan Bangxian replied, I can show you all over the Sea of Stars. Then Lan Bangxian took Ye Bai there. Reach for the stars. It was different from the sneak attack that Huo Tianhuang thought. Ye Bai is now releasing star reaching in situ, leaving a coordinate. Within 0.5 seconds, Lan Bangxian took Ye Bai to see the entire Sea of Stars. When the time is up, Ye Bai ends catching stars and returns to where he came from. Then thrust out the most powerful sword, the infinite wind. With reaching for the stars, Shura appeared next to King Huo in an instant, making it impossible to guard against him. Come for a sneak attack. Wind's infinite distance. The Heavenly King's sword has its own armor that ignores it, and the wind's no range calculates damage based on distance, which is paired with Ye Bai's ability to cut off water flow and tear open wounds. There was no way King Huo Tian could survive the sword attack. In a critical moment of life and death, King Huo Tianhuang roared, furious, his hands transformed into afterimages and he grabbed forward. Sonorous. The sound of the collision of gold and stone resounded throughout the world. The sword was caught by him with his bare hands. The sword from the Sea of Stars, Ye Bai's sure-kill sword, was firmly held by King Huo Tian. The water of this sword is very deep, no one else can grasp it, let Uncle Huo do it. In Ye Bai's carefully planned murderous situation, Huo Tianhuang did not sit still and waited for death, and even turned against the guests. Seize the sword with bare hands. Now that he has caught the sword, King Huo Tian should sound the clarion call for counterattack. That's what he thought. But the young man opposite Huo Tianhuang had no fluctuation in his expression. He was not surprised that Huo Tianhuang could catch the sword. There was even a hint of apology in his eyes. After the previous 2 battles, King Huo Tian was very familiar with Shura's fighting style. Kill with 1 strike and escape thousands of miles away. Once Shura takes action, regardless of success or failure, he will quickly leave the scene. Thousands of murders are committed, but life is the first. Since Shura stayed where he was and still showed such an expression, it means I lost. Relief appeared on King Huo Tian's face, he lowered his head slightly and looked down. A shadow sword penetrated his chest from behind, and blood flowed from the tip of the sword. Shadow in the mirror. This is Shura's real killing sword. When he followed the blue banished immortal to travel across the Sea of Stars, his own shadow was scurrying around the world in the opposite direction. When Ye Bai thrust out the most powerful sword in his life, his shadow came out with the sword from the other direction. Because the Tianhuang sword was too powerful, Huo Tianhuang focused all his energy on resisting the sword in front of him. But he was stabbed in the back by the shadow, openly and openly. With blood spilling from the corners of his mouth, Huo Tianhuang turned to look at Xiaoju, twitching the corners of his mouth, trying his best to show a smile that didn't look like a coffin face. He has lived in the coffin for too long, and he laughed the most today. He could finally do what he had wanted to do more than 70 years ago. Take care of yourself. After saying that, King Huo Tian felt the passage of life in his body and looked at Shure, who killed him instantly with the sword. You powerful seeds, none of you are good. He sighed and shook his head. Can't you let me win once? Lost again. King Huo Tian fought against Nightmare and was defeated. Fight without a trace and lose again. Zhan Xiaoao, he only met Xiaoao once. Xiaoao asked him a question, and Huo Tianwang knew that he had lost. Fight against Shura and lose all 3 games. Repeated battles and repeated defeats and repeated battles. The arrogance in my heart is getting stronger and stronger. Today, I have to kill a demon to vent my anger. Isn't it just bullying the weak and fearing the strong? Lao Huo can't do anything else in his life, but he is good at bullying the weak and fearing the strong. Opposite King Huo Tian, Ye Bai put away his sword and bowed slightly. Junior Ye Bai was fortunate enough to play against King Huo Tian 3 times, with both sides winning and losing. You kid, you are more cruel than anyone else, and you are more cowardly than anyone else in your words. King Huo Tian sneered. Are you afraid that I will vent my anger on you when I'm about to die? You're joking. Ye Bai said seriously. You are not such a person, and I am not such a person. King Huo Tian laughed it off and said all he needed to say. On the verge of death, Huo Tianwang suddenly opened his eyes, as if the light was flashing back to him. By the way, Lao Ju lied to you about 2 things. Ye Bai's expression tightened, the source of life appeared in his hand, and he rushed forward with the best life-sustaining medicine. You must finish your words before you die. Before Ye Bai could renew King Huo Tian's life, the other party said the last word. Shui. Ye Bai couldn't hear the rest of the words. The false body of King Huo Tian is like ice and snow meeting Xiaoyan, slowly melting away. Master Ju. Ye Bai growled lowly. What do you mean, you can't afford it? Why are you shouting so loudly? Yang Ju sheathed her sword and said calmly. Don't even think about slandering me for hacking Crazy Huo to death. Crazy Huo and I have been friends for many years and we are like father and son. In the true sense, the father is kind and the son is filial. Obviously, King Huo Tian knew Yang Ju's character very well. He knew that once he opened his mouth to expose Yang Ju's lies, Yang Ju would immediately take action and deal with his fake identity neatly. It is precisely for this reason that King Huo Tian left this matter for last. Some people have heard this laughter outside the coffin. The old man burst into tears when he heard that the most powerful seed was born. Logically speaking, when a strong person appears on the stage, he should have sufficient momentum and a handsome posture. Before Shui Meng, the person who killed the most demons in the human race was none other than him. Some people have heard this laughter on the battlefield. The owner of the laughter is like a madman, charging forward, risking his own life. The black coffin went straight to the 95th floor, suspended in the air, silently waiting for its master. While laughter spread throughout Blue Star, a skinny old man jumped out of the eternal tower and stretched his muscles. Ye Bai took a closer look and saw clearly the items inside the black light. At this moment, all Huo Tianwang's emotions were concentrated in this laughter. There is no more madman Huo in the world. Ye Bai sighed sincerely. Ye Bai looked up and saw an old man in a coarse linen shirt. He was not tall, but his aura was particularly amazing. The only thing left, is to carry the coffin and kill the god Huo Tianwang. The #1 war god in the human race, this is how he was born. King Huo Tian is the strongest among the strong, so he naturally wants to force Grauman. Could it be that? Finally, he waited for this moment. There was laughter in the eternal tower. Some people have heard this laughter in the video. The owner of the laughter is elegant and easygoing, giving guidance on fighting and answering questions. An unknown premonition came to Ye Bai's heart. This is decades of planning, hundreds of years of blood feud, hatred between the country and the family. Even if you are half crazy and half crazy, you dare not forget it. The last obsession died, and half of Huo Tianwang's plan was completed. Ye Bai is only curious about one thing now, how King Huo Tian plans to go to the abyss. At this moment, all the powerful men above the War King level in the human race could hear this strange yet familiar laughter. But King Huo Tianwang had been hiding in the coffin for decades and had no time to plan any of this. What is he going to do? Apart from Yingju, who else is the most powerful god of war in the human race? Black Coffin. In the Eternal Forest, a black light rose into the sky and headed straight for the Eternal Tower. Laugh, laugh, laugh. Just when Ye Bai was confused. Still couldn't dodge Yingju's knife. Standing between heaven and earth, overlooking the heroes of the world. Today, King Huo Tianwang of the human race broke out of the 95th floor and saw the sky again, without any demonic obstacles anymore. The hearty laughter spread throughout the Eternal Forest and even beyond. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 306. King Huotian broke out of the 95th floor and stood on the black coffin. After a moment, the black coffin turned into a black light, broke through the air and went straight to the first abyss. Ye Bai couldn't help but sigh. I didn't expect this coffin to have a sliding lid. Feeling emotional, Ye Bai urged Yingju beside him. Master Ju, it's time for us to set off. Ye Bai reminded, if you go late, you only have standing tickets. The show is about to begin, how can we miss Shura, the gold medal audience? Yingju opened his mouth and asked in surprise. We? What we? This god of war, is going to the first abyss. What does it have to do with you, a level 300 rookie? Old liar, no moral ethics. Ye Bai jumped up and down in anger. Yingju didn't even look at him. Yingju said casually. 4, 5, 6, 7. 4 shadows came from 4 directions of the Eternal Forest. Except for the rare top experts, the strength of these 4 is almost the ceiling of shadow, and they are also responsible for guarding the Eternal Forest on weekdays. 4 figures appeared in front of Yingju almost at the same time, bowing slightly and waiting for Master Ju's instructions. Yingju pointed at Xiaoju beside him and said. Before I come back, keep an eye on Xiaoju. Promise. After the 4 people responded, Ying Si spoke again. Brother Ninth, what about your grandson? Ye Bai. Master Ju also has a grandson, how come he doesn't know? Come on out and let me know you. Yingju snorted coldly, this kid has a lot of thoughts, you can't play with him. Yingju understood Ye Bai very well and said straightforwardly. Without the heavenly god of war by his side, this boy would not dare to go to the first abyss. If he persuades a man as powerful as the god of war to accompany him, you can't stop him. After speaking, Yingju glanced at Ye Bai and said nothing more. He casually slashed out a knife, cut through the void, and escaped into it. Hiss. Ye Bai had to say. Master Ju is really good at judging people. King Huo Tianwang's plan was launched, like pushing dominoes, triggering a chain reaction. Master Ju has his own plan. The first step in Master Ju's plan is to leave Shura alone and go it alone. Damn it, heartless. Fortunately, Ye Bai predicted Ju's prediction. The first moment Yingju left, Ye Bai returned to his own exclusive space. How long will it take for the force of nature to fix it? Ye Bai shouted while looking for Dracula. An hour at most. Master Fool paused and spoke again. Are you going to the abyss? Yes, something happened, and I rushed to attend the funeral of the great devil. Master Fool nodded. Okay, the equipment is repaired and I have a way to deliver it to you, provided you are still alive. While the two were talking, Ye Bai found Dracula who was chewing chicken legs. Without any nonsense, Ye Bai got straight to the point and said straightforwardly. You are a pig. Dracula? A few seconds later, Dracula performed a trick for Ye Bai, transforming him into a living pig. Dracula pig, humph. Is this necessary? Walk. Yabai picked up the piggy-della in one hand and returned to the eternal forest again. Handing the piglet to Xiaju, Yabai said seriously. I have something to do, maybe I can rescue your grandpa Huo. You put this little pig away, it is very intelligent and can play with you. Xiaju took the piggy in confusion, with confusion written in his big eyes. Yabai explained. If you encounter any trouble, throw the piggy out. Do you understand? Along with Dracula, there was also a storage ring given to Xiaoju. There are over 10,000 drops of the vampire prince's essence and blood, some sundries, and a long river of blood inside. If you encounter an enemy that Dracula cannot defeat, give these two things to Dracula, and he will definitely risk his life. Okay, it's almost time for me to leave. The person to pick me up is here. Saying that, Yabai looked towards the sky. A sword immortal descended from the sky and returned from the sea of stars. Lan Bangxian spoke, slightly surprised. You can really kill the king of heaven with one sword. It was a fluke, just a fluke. Yabai was very calm. Without the help of Lan Bangxian, Yabai would definitely have to put in a lot more effort to deal with King Huo Tian. The top priority now is to let Lan Bangxian take him to the first abyss. Lan Bangxian spoke unhurriedly. I will protect you to and from the first abyss. Your kindness in saving my son will be cleared up. Yabai nodded, Senior Gao Yi, please. The sword light flashed across, and Yabai followed Lan Bangxian and walked forward. Xiaoju, who stayed on the spot, struggled to hold the pig with one hand, waved to Yabai with the other hand, and shouted with all his strength. Handsome brother, I want to bring Grandpa Huo back alive. Yabai, why does it feel like this generation is not right? Facing Xiaju's words, Yabai responded with a smile. Don't worry, I swear by Yingju's credibility, I will. After saying that, the two disappeared into the passage. The first abyss. I haven't played cards for a long time. But Xuemeng felt that he could play more and more cards. The second demon god came late and finally came back with the money. Brother, on the way here, I saw that all the human legions had withdrawn. The second demon god said in a strange manner. Today's first abyss is really the safest abyss. Snort. The great demon god snorted coldly and said confidently. My abyss is so impregnable that even the ordinary god of war cannot easily break through the space barrier. You have to go through your second abyss to get here. The second demon sneered repeatedly and said nothing. He had a premonition. Big brother is not far from death. Deserve it? Let the person you cheated on the human race back then be punished by the cycle of nature and unfavorable retribution. The second demon god originally thought that the great demon god would die at the hands of Xuemeng. Now it seems that a mere madman Huo can take the life of my eldest brother. The first two demon gods are still pulling at each other, and the fifth demon god and Xuemeng are still at it. Let me see you 100-year-old luck. The fifth demon god tried to touch it, and seemed to see some clues. Xuemeng slapped the fifth demon god's hand away, feeling very dissatisfied. My uncle Huo gave this to me. I've been carrying it with me since I was born. This is fake gold, I think it's already faded. The fifth demon pointed at a black spot that appeared on the centenary lock. It was not a big deal to watch the excitement, and shouted. Brother, second brother, come and see, this idiot Xuemeng is wearing a fake gold chain. Among the entire demon clan, only the fifth demon god dared to speak so arrogantly. I have to say that when your life is on the line, you can speak with confidence. If we want to find a reference for his status among the demon gods, it would be Xuemeng among the humans. Xuemeng is not afraid of death. If you can, kill me. The fifth demon is not afraid of death either. If you can, kill me. Under the shouts of the fifth demon god, the attention of the big demon god and the second demon god were also attracted. Oh, your color has really changed. Is your gold made of melons? The three demons all laughed. Finally found an opportunity to mock Xue Meng. Laugh a little more wildly. Soon, smiles solidified on their faces. The fifth demon rubbed his eyes and said in disbelief, "Brother, second brother, am I right? This centenary lock is SSS level equipment." The great demon god seemed to have thought of something, his face darkened and he said nothing. The second devil thought thoughtfully and said to himself, "Is there a possibility? This centenary lock is part of some SSS level equipment. When this equipment is awakened, they will respond to each other in different spaces, and then successfully open the space channel and send someone to the abyss plane." The fifth demon nodded in agreement. "That makes sense. It's very possible." The fifth demon continued. "But what genius can plan ahead and think of this?" The next moment, the 100-year-old lock around Xue Meng's neck snapped. The 100-year-old lock burst out with infinite black light, and the black light tore through the space. An old man stepped on a sliding coffin and fell from the sky, ending his frenzied behavior of drifting the coffin. King Huo Tianwang, whose momentum continues to rise, is like a tyrant descending into the first abyss, domineering and unruly. Great demon god. King Huo Tian's voice echoed through the first abyss, and countless monsters crawled on the ground, trembling. The old man glanced disdainfully at the three demon gods present, all of whom were bidding for the first time. A sneer formed on the corner of his mouth and he asked, "Is life enough? Online games, only I can see hidden information." Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 307. Is life enough? Facing Huo Tianwang's arrogant opening remarks, the great demon god didn't have time to respond. The fifth demon god next to him suddenly burst out with an astonishing momentum, and even took the initiative to attack King Huo Tian. "Huo, please don't be arrogant," the fifth demon lord roared arrogantly. "Today, in this first abyss, I, the great demon god, will fight to the death with you. Everyone, all the demons. Just listen to the fifth demon roaring. I am the great demon god. The great demon god is me. For the past 100 years, I have been hiding the fact that I am the great demon god, just to catch you humans off guard at the critical moment. You didn't expect it? I am the left brain of the most powerful demon." Faced with the fact that the fifth demon god brazenly assumed the identity of the great demon god, the melon eaters were shocked for the first time, but soon calmed down. Although this matter is outrageous, but think about it carefully, since it happened to the fifth demon god, that's still reasonable. The great demon god looked at the fifth demon god standing in front of him. His mood was extremely complicated for a moment, and he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. As soon as he opened his mouth, he was interrupted by the fifth demon. "You don't need to say much, fifth brother, eldest brother understands." The fifth devil interrupted. "You have carried it for 100 years for my eldest brother, and my eldest brother has resisted this death calamity for you. We are all brothers. Just listen to the fifth demon god say with great righteousness. Who said that only human men are allowed to have hot blood, while I, the demon race, can also sacrifice my life for my fellow race?" These words were impassioned and wonderful. If demon blood had a temperature, it would be 105 degrees. If we hadn't known in advance that the fifth demon god was mentally ill, everyone would have believed it. King Huo Tianwang slapped the fifth demon in front of him away like a fly, and said with disgust, "If you really have the left brain of the most powerful hybrid, you can only say that his left brain is not fully developed, maybe not developed at all." After scolding the fifth demon, King Huo Tian once again targeted the big demon. During this period, his momentum continued to rise. 8 false bodies died, and in exchange the real body's combat power surged. When it reaches its peak, King Huo Tian will have a combat power of level 1000 or even beyond level 1000. Although extremely short-lived. But punching is enough. The great demon god, locked by King Huo Tian, slowly walked towards his throne. Wherever his huge body went, monsters around him were killed one after another. He was in a heavy mood now. In Ye Bai's words, the seats were almost open before the demon was dead. It's hard to be kind today. Every demon god has complete control over a large abyss. At the same time, they will build the demon king's palace and erect a throne. The demon gods sitting on the throne completely grasp the origin of the abyss, which is the moment when their combat power is the most powerful. Both parties had a tacit understanding and did not take action immediately, but secretly gathered strength. Everyone knows it too. There are only two outcomes for this level of competition. The first type is unilateral crushing and instant killing. Resolve battles extremely quickly and determine life or death. The second type is protracted consumption and fighting, which can even last until we grow old together. Obviously, Huo Tianwang took the first type of script. While the two protagonists were preparing, the second demon beside them began to become restless. He sneered and said, "King Huo Tian, what a plan." According to Xuemeng, the centenary lock around his neck was given to him by King Huo Tian when he was born. And Huo Tianwang really relied on the centenary lock to forcibly break the space barrier and reach the first abyss. In the impression of the demon gods, Huo Tianwang has always been a typical representative of bravery and foolhardiness. Abyss even has a saying that specifically mocks King Huo. Huo Tianwang and Lan Tiankai share the same brain. If you think about it carefully, maybe 1 add 1 2, Huo Tianwang will still hold back Lan Tiankai. However, no one expected that King Huo Tian would hide so deeply. The layout started decades ago and the situation has been accurately calculated to today. What a big game of chess. The words of the second demon made King Huo frown. He shouted at the second demon, "What are you talking about, idiot?" Second demon god. On this day, the demon gods once again recalled Huo Tianwang's bad mouth. As soon as he appeared on the stage, he gave a friendly greeting to the great demon god, "Have you had enough?" Then, he thoughtfully suggested that the fifth demon god go see a brain doctor. Now use the simplest two words to enjoy the most extreme bad breath. King Huo Tian, what a loud tone. Since the other party was really capable of beating him to death, the second demon god did not dare to scold him back. He even had the time to explain to King Huo Tian. "I mean, you used the centenary lock on Xuemeng's body to rush to the first abyss, and deceived everyone and the devil. It's amazing. I admire you. Have it?" King Huo Tian snorted disdainfully. "You have the same brain as Lao Wu, there is something wrong with it, right? That makes sense. How do I know where your kid will be playing in the mud one day decades from now? However, when I give you 100-year-old lock, I have no intention of relying on your position to reach the first abyss. Within 100 years, I will kill the great devil." Fight the big devil? More than enough. Xuemeng recalled that the reason why he appeared in the first abyss was because he was entrusted by others. Who would have thought that by taking advantage of Xuemeng's centenary lock, it would actually save time and effort? If you think about it carefully, this is the way to echo Huo Tianwang's intelligence and character. But then Xuemeng became even more confused. When he passed by the second demon god, his combat power was already comparable to level 999. King Huo Tianwang raised his fist, smashed it down high, and struck hard. Did they guess wrong? King Huo Tian's original plan was to fight all the way to the first abyss and directly hammer the great demon god to death. The nightmare was made for him back then, but later King Huo Tian took advantage of it and tried every means to transform it into a black coffin. That 100-year-old lock is indeed part of the black coffin. Demon gods? Xuemeng also looked at his uncle Huo, not understanding what he meant. Nothing fancy. There are so many things to think about, so please try to make up for them more. King Huo Tian was an open man and had nothing to hide. He said seriously. This person is Shura, not Uncle Huo. King Huo Tian explained. This black coffin is his SSS level armor. In this peak battle, Huo Tianwang once again showed his ability to bully the weak and fear the strong. This punch, black coffin. This also means that when Huo Tianwang activates the black coffin, he can attract the centenary lock from the air and take Xuemeng to the first abyss. Looking at the great demon sitting on the throne, King Huo Tian sneered, picked up the black coffin with his left hand, and walked forward step by step. Fighting the most powerful demon is indeed a bit unsatisfactory. If Uncle Huo didn't plan to rely on his own positioning, why bother giving himself this centenary lock? With every step forward, Huo Tianwang's momentum doubled. In 8 steps, Huo Tianwang carried the black coffin and walked to the great demon god. The black coffin can rely on the centenary lock to break through the air and reach the first abyss. I hope you can watch him die. King Huo Tian's answer made Xuemeng fall into silence. At this time, King Huo Tian reached the peak of his combat power. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 308. The sword energy cut through the space, and Lan Bangxian took Ye Bai to the second abyss. Ye Bai was very sensible and didn't ask why he didn't go directly to the first abyss. He probably guessed the answer, so there was no need to ask. The monsters in the second abyss have been hiding for a long time and are missing. There are human words and directional arrows on the ground. This direction leads to the first abyss. Please be patient and look for weak spots in the space, and be careful of space turbulence. Have a safe journey. Hiss. I have to say that the second demon god can handle this devilish punishment. He has teammates who really sell him. Lan Bangxian followed the guidance on the ground and flew forward with Ye Bai. Wherever the two of them went, sword energy spread across the sky, paving a path for them to move forward quickly. It didn't take long for two figures to appear in the void, looking at the first abyss ahead. An elegant and easygoing voice sounded. Coming. In front of Ye Bai, a man dressed in white appeared, standing in the sky. Second brother, the most powerful one, has no trace. Coming. Lan Bangxian nodded and responded. Send Lao Huo a ride. Wilhen looked forward and spoke again. Go ahead. If you go late, you won't be able to see me. He cannot yet enter the first abyss. King Huo Tianwang has his own plan, and Yingzhu has also laid out his own plan. These two people are both the top gods of war in the human race, and their strength reaches the sky. Wilhen is not the god of war. He is the most powerful. He stood taller than Yingzhu and Huo Tianwang, and could see farther. What bad intentions could Wilhen have? After saying hello to his second brother, Lan Bangxian split the space barrier of the first abyss with his sword, and the two of them entered one after another. Ye Bai just entered the first abyss. I saw King Huo Tian fighting the great demon god. The throne was shattered, the demon emperor's palace had long been reduced to ruins, the entire first abyss was full of cracks, and countless magma spewed from the ground. King Huo Tianwang stepped on the big devil, immobilizing the opponent, and punched him one after another. His momentum continued to rise. The great demon god has no power to fight back. Ye Bai looked around and sighed. Oh, there are so many people. The great demon god, the second demon god, and the fifth demon god. Huo Tianwang, Xuemeng, Zhu Ye. Next to Master Zhu was a strong man covered in bones. Ye Bai glanced at him and recognized the man's identity. Shadow 3. His eyes swept back and forth in the abyss. Ye Bai seemed to be looking for something. Lan Bangxian's vision was much higher than that of Ye Bai, and he could easily see that Huo Tianwang was still gathering momentum and had not yet fired his strongest punch. He still caught up with this good show. Don't look at the fact that the great demon god is at an absolute disadvantage now. After a while, he might be beaten to death. Lan Bangxian still had time to spare and asked. What are you looking for? Ye Bai answered honestly, look for Ying 1, Ying 2. Based on Ye Bai's understanding of Master Ju. With such a big move this time, everyone will definitely be shaken. Shadow 4 to Shadow 7 were all arranged by Master Ju to be next to Xiaoju. In other words, Ying 1, Ying 2, and Ying 3 should all follow Master Ju. No need to look for it, those two are chatting with Xue Meng. Although the scene was heated. However, the majority of people present were melon eaters. The real stage is left to the great demon god and King Huo Tian. The fifth demon god wanted to have a threesome, but King Huo Tianwang didn't give him this chance. Xue Meng also noticed the arrival of Lan Bangxian. The person following Uncle Lan is Shura. The two of them looked at each other in the distance, speechless and choked for a moment. Xue Meng looked at each other repeatedly. This was the first time they met in reality. Xue Meng wants to take a good look at it today. What would the most powerful seed look like if I smashed my hundreds of thousands of God of War merits? He was a little far away and couldn't see clearly. Xue Meng always felt that Shura people looked like dogs. Want to get closer? With the Heavenly King's sword around, it was really inconvenient for Xue Meng to get close. Come over if you want. Lan Bangxian spoke calmly. No need to worry. Lan Bangxian's swordsmanship is second only to Wu Hen. With Lan Bangxian's guarantee, Xue Meng immediately rushed to the two of them, his eyes scanning Shura back and forth. Ye Bai said without hesitation. What are you looking at? Xue Meng grinned and was about to say something harsh. Ye Bai's next words made him give up resistance completely. More money if you watch again. In a real fight, even 10,000 Shuras combined would not be Xue Meng's opponent. Let's talk about shearing wool. Xue Meng will never be able to match Shura's abilities in this lifetime. Ye Bai had Lan Bangxian on his left and Xue Meng on his right. He felt very safe. Then he shouted to Master Ju in the distance. Master Ju, where is your promise to me? According to the previous agreement between the two, Ye Bai helps Juyu get rid of Huo Tianwang's last obsession, and Juyu will tell Ye Bai something. The true origin of Yingju. Faced with Shure who came to collect debts, Yingju was not ashamed to speak out. Let me organize my language first. Ye Bai couldn't help but rolled his eyes. Make up the answers on the spot, right? It's really yours, old liar. Everyone has arrived and their seats have been arranged. If the food is not served, the chicken soup will get cold. Just when Ye Bai was thinking this, Huo Tianwang smashed the great demon god's Tianling cap with one punch. The expressions of all the strong men present tensed up instantly. At this moment, everyone became serious. Ye Bai also quickly became serious to cover up his embarrassment that he didn't see anything. Except for him who is level 300, the weakest beings in the field are all level 989. There are even 5 people above level 995. It can be said that Ye Bai single-handedly lowered the average level and average age of those present. Coming soon. Ye Bai stared straight ahead, silently hiding behind Xue Meng and Lan Bangxian. If you should be cowardly, be cowardly. It was really difficult for Ye Bai to directly participate in the next situation. Coming. After King Huo Tian smashed the great demon god's Tianling cap, he did not continue to take action and even took a step back. The great demon god's heavenly spirit cap did not recover, countless original auras surged out, and an evil, dark, cold, and terrifying strange aura appeared in the field. This is. Ye Bai felt as if he had fallen into an ice cave, as if he was being secretly watched by a terrifying existence. A sense of crisis enveloped his whole body, making his hands and feet cold, and the blood circulation in his body seemed to stop. This is the breath of the most powerful demon. Lan Bangxian said. In fact, he and Xue Meng worked in tandem, each releasing the eternal sea, offsetting most of Shura's pressure. Otherwise, face the attention of the most powerful demon. Shura will be seriously injured even if he doesn't die. The relationship between the most powerful seed and the most powerful demon god can be simply summed up in 4 words: life and death. With so many people present, as soon as the aura of the most powerful demon appears, Shura is the first to be targeted. Sure enough, it has something to do with the most powerful demon. After releasing the Shura sea, thunder and lightning enveloped Yebai's surface. After the electrotherapy, his body became much warmer. Yebai continued to stare at the battle situation, refusing to let go of any detail. I saw a crack slowly appearing and expanding. Yebai seemed to have guessed something and asked anxiously, "What's going on?" "Never let the worst happen." Lan Bangxian's face was solemn and he said solemnly, "The abyss of power is about to open. I'm only level 300. Yebai didn't understand. Didn't it mean that the supreme abyss will be opened only when the supreme seed is level 500? Is his supreme seed fake? Xuemeng explained. Before the great demon god is seriously injured and on the verge of death, the abyss of power will open. Only in this way can the most powerful demon god reclaim his origin as much as possible. Got it all. Until this moment, Yebai had assembled the entire plan of Master Zhu in his mind. King Huotian wants to kill the great devil. When the great demon god is about to die, the abyss of power will open in advance. Shura has no room to grow at all. Master Zhu wants to get the mark of the strongest before Yebai. Get on the bus first, pay later. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 309. The picture is clear and the truth comes to light. Master Zhu's plan has always been the mark of the strongest. If the abyss of the strongest was opened in advance, Yebai's strength would be too weak and he would not be able to compete with Master Zhu for the mark of the strongest. Etc. Yebai raised his eyebrows and realized something was not right. Everything else makes sense. Only one thing doesn't make sense. Opening the supreme abyss in advance, assuming that Master Zhu can really get his wish and get the mark of the strongest in advance, it means that Xiaoao will also have to fight the supreme demon god in advance. Something's not right here. Putting aside Zhuyi's attitude towards him, the relationship between Zhuyi and Xiaoao is that of master and disciple for decades. Xiaoao is a serious person who respects teachers and values education. Back then, when Xiaoao was placed in front of the mark of the most powerful, he would let Master Zhu try it first. Zhuyi couldn't hold it, so Xiaoao chose to hold the mark of the strongest. Master Zhu also treated Xiaoao as his own disciple. You know, the fate of the 2 most powerful men in the human race when faced with the most powerful demon god was really not very good. How could Master Zhu, who is so protective of his calf, bear to watch Xiaoao go to fight the most powerful demon in advance? Yebai didn't believe it. That's not right. Master Zhu's plan should be more than just opening the abyss of power. Yebai rubbed his chin, always feeling that he had missed some details. He suddenly looked at Lan Bangxian and asked, "Senior, may I ask what the most powerful Wuhan has planned outside the first abyss?" Lan Bangxian shook his head, "I don't know." Yebai hesitated for a moment and changed the question. "Senior, you just need to tell me whether the most powerful Wuhan was invited by Master Zhu." Yebai's words attracted the attention of most people and demons present. Before Yingzhu could deny it, an elegant and easygoing voice sounded from heaven to earth. Yes. As soon as Wuhan opened his mouth, even Huo Tianwang, who had the strongest momentum in the field, was suppressed a little. Wuhan was indeed the helper invited by Master Zhu. Thinking about it carefully, Yebai was not surprised. If Xuemeng is the master of the 2nd generation buff of the strongest, then Yingzhu, a veteran strong man who has accompanied the growth of 4 generations of the strongest seeds, has finally figured out the aspect of the strongest human relationship. Only Yingju could ask Wuhan to help him calm down the situation. Even after guessing this level, Ye Bai still couldn't see through Master Ju's true goal. Master Ju's left hand is Xiaoyao, and his right hand is Shura. He wants to catch it with both hands, but he can't let it go. What is this old guy planning to do? Ye Bai felt a rare irritation in his heart. The more he thought about it, the more irritated he became. He wanted to go up and punch the first demon god twice. Meditation. Lan Bangxian said coldly. The aura of the most powerful demon god interferes too much with you and can easily breed evil thoughts. If you can't meditate, I can only send you away from here first. Ye Bai took a few deep breaths and muttered something, and his mood quickly returned to peace. The previous irritability and depression were gone, and he was like an old monk in meditation. Huh. Xuemeng was a little surprised. Shura actually had such ability. It's amazing to have such a state of mind at such a young age. Xuemeng moved closer, trying to hear clearly what Shura was reciting. It was so magical that it could calm his mood instantly. After getting closer, I heard Shura saying in a loop as if reciting a mantra. Xuemeng owes me 800,000 for God of War merit, and the fool owes me 600,000. Xuemeng owes me 900,000 for his God of War merit, and the fool owes me 700,000. Xuemeng? How can you feel calm just by reading this? Please be human. After getting rid of the influence of the powerful demon god's aura on him, Ye Bai took the time to ask Xuemeng a question. Xuemeng, you said that your uncle Huo wanted to adopt you as his godson. Xuemeng was very proud at first, but immediately realized that the situation was not right, and lowered his voice and said, "Yeah, why are you talking about this now?" Ye Bai asked further, "What about your ninth uncle? Your ninth uncle doesn't want to accept you as his godson." Xuemeng fell into silence for a while, with a strange expression on his face and hesitated to speak. On the contrary, the second demon god and the fifth demon god laughed out loud when they heard Shura's question. Ye Bai's heart skipped a beat and he looked at Yingju suddenly, guessing the truth. Yingju, the last word Xue told by the youth version of King Huo Tianwang before he died, the whereabouts of Xuemeng's biological father are unknown, and his life and death are uncertain. Xiaoju who walked out from the 95th floor, old 9. All the clues are like pieces of a puzzle, piecing together the truth in Ye Bai's mind. Ye Bai spoke with a hint of bitterness and asked Xuemeng. Your father, is his name? Xuemeng nodded and announced the answer directly. My father's name is Xueju, my biological father. Everyone present was silent. Everyone was not shocked by this incident. Anyone present who is not a veteran and strong person who has been famous for many years, this matter is not a secret at all to them. What shocked them was that Shura and Yingju lived together day and night and didn't even know about this. Huo Tianwang, Xiaoju, Xueju, Yingju. Ye Bai looked at Master Ju in the black mist and truly understood the words of the Eye of Insight. Master Ju is half dead. Because, in a sense, Master Ju may have never lived. Lan Tiankai once reprimanded Xiaoyao on the matter of whether Yingju is a human being. Yingju is Xueju's shadow, Xueju's talent, brought out from the 95th floor of the Eternal Tower. If you think about it carefully, you will know that although Huo Tianwang is a madman, he is not very good at thinking. How could it be possible to come up with such a high-end operation as bringing out Xiaoju on the 95th floor that would cause a bug? Unless, this bug has been stuck by someone for a long time. Madman Huo just did what Xueju did before. No wonder Master Ju considers himself Shadow Ju among the shadows. Just as Ye Bai was trying to understand everything, Xuemeng said seriously. Back then, in the middle of the 30-year bloody war, it was also the most critical moment of the situation. The great demon god opened the supreme abyss in advance, hoping to awaken the supreme demon god and completely defeat the human race. My father was a rare war god at that time. He went to the abyss alone and a great war broke out. After that battle, the Xi'an abyss was closed, and its opening was delayed 10 years, which also gave the human race time to develop. My father didn't come back from the abyss, but before it closed, he sent out a cloud of black mist. Whenever a new generation of powerful seeds appears, the old man in the black mist will return, with a knife on his waist. Yabai couldn't help but rolled his eyes. Half dead, unable to enter the eternal tower in this life, wandering in the shadows forever. This is the fierce script that Xuemeng set for himself. The most powerful sword in the human race. Holding a broken knife, the old man in the black mist smiled sinisterly. After so many years, De Menzi no longer feels too sad when talking about what happened to his own father. The second demon's head hurt a little. As he said before, he will kill the great demon in this life to avenge his father. Uncle Ju has never let me talk to you. What can I do? I'm also desperate. Back then, in the abyss, the second demon god ambushed Wuhan and almost succeeded, but failed. He once saved Wuhan from the hands of the devil, and also stabilized Xiaoao on the verge of losing control. Yingju is Xueju's shadow. My answer sheet is full and it's time to hand in the paper. Are you here to reveal the correct answer? Whenever a new generation of powerful people is born, the old man in the black mist will disappear again and disappear without a trace. But the top experts from both races know one thing. Dare you come to kill our strongest seed? He remembered a battle that had taken place. After listening to Xuemeng's words, Yabai looked forward and looked at Master Ju again in the black mist. The sword is the Heavenly King's sword. Just like half a month ago, on the day Shura appeared, Yingju returned again. Kill the big demon first, then the strongest demon. Yingju who stood in front of Wuhan, his face covered with blood and black mist billowing. You can't blame me for this. Even so, Yingju, in the black mist, forcibly defended the path of the third generation of the most powerful seeds of the human race. The person is Yingju. This is a cycle, and Shadow 9 will only appear during the growth of the most powerful seeds. Xuemeng felt Shura's anger, his wallet ached, and explained. When the most powerful seed appears again, there will always be a shadow next to him. A shadow forms the strongest barrier and is indestructible. Kill you to death. Hello Xuemeng. No one knows where Yingju is, what Yingju is thinking, or what Yingju is doing. Jajaja. In the black mist, there is a sword and a person. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 310. I said, can you put aside the internal affairs of your human race? The fifth demon god is a master at destroying the atmosphere. Among all the strong men present, he has always been the craziest. Crazy. The devil must have crazy capital. In terms of being a demon god, the fifth demon god has always been the most demonic existence. Huo, if you don't want to fight me, beat my eldest brother to death as soon as possible. The fifth demon god forced everyone's attention to focus on King Huo Tian and the great demon god again. The great demon with the broken Tianling cap said coldly. Lao Wu, if I survive the disaster this time, I will keep you alive forever. This sounds strange. It can be used to threaten the fifth demon god, and there is nothing wrong with it at all. Don't worry if I can live that long. The fifth demon took out a bone, threw it into his mouth, chewed it twice, and swallowed it. I just want to see if Madman Huo can kill you with 2 punches. Yabai regained his energy. Can King Huo still punch 2 more times? According to previous estimates, Huo Tianwang's strength briefly reached level 1000, so he was able to pin the great demon to the ground and hammer him. But everything comes with a price. The method used by Huo Tianwang would not be an exaggeration to call it crooked. If King Huo Tian really wants to kill the great demon god with his last punch, there will only be one result, to change his life. Yabai worked so hard to get here, and he could eat from the great demon god's mat. It's better to say goodbye to King Huo Tian's seat. Ye Bai felt that even using a black coffin to carry King Huo Tian back would be better than exchanging lives with the great demon god here. As for how to save Huo Tian Wang, this is a technical job. Need to add money. Ye Bai wanted to see what Master Zhu was going to do. The stage is reserved for Huo Tian Wang. Boom. With another punch, countless murderous auras around the great demon god condensed into shape, and a black coffin completely trapped him. This black coffin still lacks a coffin board. King Huo Tian's last punch was the final nail in the coffin for the great demon god. At this point, the great demon god has nothing to hide. If you hide it again, you're not hiding the ticket to go home, but you're hiding the urn for yourself. Wrong. King Huo Tian came to kill the great demon and thoughtfully brought a coffin with him. Real one-stop service for killing and exterminating demons. The great demon god used all his methods, but he still couldn't break through this black coffin. What's even more frightening is that the great demon god is about to face King Huo Tian's last punch, which is also King Huo's strongest punch in his life. At this critical moment of life and death, the great demon god couldn't care less. He used all his strength to spread his voice out of the black coffin. Help me. Yingju. Ye Bai. The great demon god is asking Yingju for help. Which part of the song is this? First of all, let's rule out the fact that the great demon god is an undercover agent. There are countless powerful people in the human race who want to kill the great demon god, and they can even queue up to get the number. Just what Ye Bai knows about are, Xue Meng, Huo Tianwang, Lan Bangxian, Yingju. Hey, it seems like all the strong men want to kill the big devil. It's a yes if the taunt points are full. It would be too funny for such a being to ask Yingju for help. The big devil is dead, so Yingju can only open champagne on the spot. What Ye Bai didn't expect was that when faced with the great demon god's plea for help, Yingju actually moved. Lao Huo, stop it when you've had enough trouble. Yingju, holding a knife in his left hand, appeared between the great demon god and King Huo Tian. If you kill this loser, you will die too. Yingju stopped King Huo, not to save the great demon god, but to save King Huo. Ye Bai nodded slightly, this was reasonable. Yingju's next words made Ye Bai break his defense. Of course, I don't really care whether you die or not. The old knife is right. The tip of Yingju's sword pointed at the crack in the void, where was the most powerful abyss that was about to open. Yingju's hoarse voice sounded. I'm going to the abyss of the strongest to get back something of Xueju's. If possible, I can bring back Xueju's body. The situation has reached this stage, and everyone can already play their cards clearly. King Huo Tian has been planning for many years just to exchange for the ultimate limit with the great demon god. With the help of King Huo Tian, Yingju severely damaged the great demon god and opened the abyss of power in advance. Yingju said frankly, if you kill the great demon god now, all the origins in him will return to the supreme abyss, strengthening the supreme demon god and the monsters in the abyss in disguise. Although my sword is fast, I have little chance of winning against the sleeping one, so I can only protect myself. Yingju's thinking was very clear. The abyss of power has opened, and his plan has been half successful. If Madman Huo stopped at this moment, it would be a win-win situation. Yingju was able to break into the abyss of the strongest, King Huo Tian was able to save his life, and the great demon god was also severely injured. However, there is a very crucial point in this plan, to convince King Huo Tian to stop. To be precise, it was to prevent Madman Huo from throwing the last punch. Faced with Yingju's words of love and reason, King Huo Tianwang understood the righteousness and replied concisely and concisely. Roll. Your Laoju's plan is none of my business. Huo Tianwang's aura is locked tightly on the great demon god, and his right fist may hit him at any time. Anyway, I'm dead after this punch, no matter how floods come after my death. This moment, Madman Huo's lunatic nature is clearly visible. If he had a normal mind, he would not be called Crazy Huo by his contemporaries. Judging from Ye Bai's experience of getting along with Huo Tianwang, let's give a critical review of Huo Tianwang. People both love and hate him. 1 2 3. As Yingju drank in a low voice, 4 terrifying auras rose one after another in the field. Shadow 1, Shadow 2, Shadow 3. The best combat power in the shadow. Yingju brought them here just for this moment. Yingju growled. Huo, if you take one more step forward, I will rebel with my shadow, believe it or not. Shadow 1, Shadow 2, is there such a good thing? Master Ju, you said that the shadow would not lie to the shadow. King Huo Tian, let's go, TNND, why don't you go? It's okay to take 2 steps. You 4, listen up. Yingju said in a deep voice. If Madman Huo goes forward today, I will allow you to break through once. How far you can break through depends on your ability. After Yingju finished saying these words, the previous 4 auras surged again. Every shadow has raised its strength to the limit of level 989, and half of its feet have already stepped into the threshold of the heavenly god of war. They didn't have a breakthrough, it was never a matter of strength. It's Master Ju's sword, it's not allowed. Today's opportunity is the closest they get to the god of war. Feeling the 4 terrifying auras, King Huo Tian grinned and said. Laoju, you have become more capable. What kind of crooked melons and cracked dates are there in the shadows? Haha, even monsters dare to push themselves into the shadows. Laoju, aren't you afraid that Xueju will come alive and chop you to death? After finishing his bad breath, Huo Tianwang stopped his smile and shook his head. Laoju, Laoju, you can't understand one thing in your life. King Huo Tian looked coldly and sneered at Yingju's threat. The real madman is not judged by what he says, but by what he does. You are not crazy enough to do such a thing. The world of madmen is not very understandable to normal people. It has to be said that King Huo Tian saw through Yingju's trump card. Yingju couldn't persuade King Huo Tian, nor could he save him. In order to prevent others from coming forward to persuade, King Huo Tian glanced at everyone present and said with great seriousness. %s at G%*at. If I don't throw this punch, I will regret it for the rest of my life. His talent is called 9 deaths without regrets. An opportunity to kill the great devil was in front of him. It would be such a waste not to kill. King Huo Tian will regret it. Even if he kills the other party, the price paid is his own life. King Huo Tian will have no regrets. Exchange it for one with the great demon god, it's worth it. After Yingju's persuasion failed, Xuemeng wanted to say something, but was blocked by Huo Tianwang's words. Whatever words came to his lips, he couldn't say them out. But he really couldn't bear to let his uncle Huo, who was like his godfather, die. If possible, Xuemeng is willing to use all his wealth to change King Huo Tian's mind. However, ordinary people obviously cannot create this kind of miracle. Fortunately, there was an unusual person in the venue. Yingju looked at King Huo Tian, removed his left hand from the handle of the knife, and suddenly said something incomprehensible. Thief son, come here. I'm coming. Ye Bai hid behind Xuemeng and Lan Bangxian, watching the great demon god from a distance without saying anything. The great demon god, who was about to be beaten, said tremblingly. I pay. The second demon answered quickly, no matter how much the big demon shows up, I will pay double to kill him and avenge Xueju. Big demon super double. The first abyss, is yours. With the words of the great demon god, Ye Bai finally felt that he was not at a loss. He walked to Xuemeng and whispered. Give me the phone back. What did you say, oh? Xuemeng returned a magical conch to Shura. However, Xuemeng didn't understand, could this thing make Uncle Huo change his mind? Why doesn't he believe it? Ye Bai answered the phone first. Hey, hey, can you hear me? There was a pig squealing on the other end of the phone. Humph. After the pig brayed, there was a child's voice. Handsome brother, is that you? Did you rescue Grandpa Huo? Everyone can hear when the leaves are blooming. Dracula the pig also has a long face. Hearing the child's voice, King Huo Tian fell into silence. Before leaving, Ye Bai left another magical conch to Xiaoju for emergencies. It's now. Ye Bai said softly. Xiaoju, think about it carefully, what is the most common thing you have said to Grandpa Huo? The other side of the magical conch. Without any hesitation, Xiaoju shouted at the highest volume with a childish voice. Don't die. No. Allow. Die. Xiaoju has been saying these 3 words to King Huo Tian for 100 years. In the past 100 years, countless battles seemed to pass by King Huo Tian. In his life, he has loved, hated, gone crazy, fought and been defeated, but, he has no regrets. Not allowed to die. If King Huo Tian dies here, Xiaoju will be sad for the rest of his life. Thinking of this, Huo Tianwan was a little distracted. He couldn't bear to treat a child like this. Unconsciously, this punch became loose.